Hello everybody and welcome back to the Cowdino Arcade, specifically to video game therapy. So it's Saturday morning, which means I'm recording this the same day it's gonna be going up. I had a very long week, and there were moments in the week where I was like, oh, I could, record a VGT about this thought I'm having. But I never sat down to do it. Now, it's been a physically, mentally, and thus spiritually exhausting week, but I slept in this morning, which was absolutely amazing. I woke up at like 7:30 and I didn't really fall back asleep, but I was laying in bed for a couple hours till then I got out of bed at like 10. But I needed it. Anyway, in that weird hypnagogic state, I don't know if that's the right word. I was feeling, I don't know, I was having dreams. They were like half dreams. They weren't really dreams. But I had one that I don't fully remember. But it reminded me of something that I've been thinking a lot about recently. And I guess that kind of boils down to different kinds of, I had a great way of putting it this morning, but I don't remember, because I was like, you know what, I could re-record VGT for today on this topic. I recorded one last night that was just horrible. I don't remember what I wanted to call it though. That's not the best thing ever. Ah, shoot. But anyway, maybe it'll come back to me as I talk about it. There are specific situations recently, let me put a disclaimer here, that has brought this thought process up. But in reality, this has happened over the last several years of my life and will continue to happen. And none of this, of the 4 people that are listening or watching this, none of this is targeted towards anyone. It's not something someone specifically has done. And as we'll see, I myself have done it. Now, it is not really a bad thing, but there's, I guess, making plans with friends, so to speak, or to catch up with someone. There is and now that I started consciously thinking about it, it's night and day. There is such a stark contrast, or a very clear difference between the people who truly want to actually talk and hang out, and the people who want to but don't actually want to. Or sorry, I should say the people who say they want to but then don't actually want to. And I feel like I would get caught up in the idea that it's something I'm doing or something that's my fault for the longest time. And it isn't. I don't think, at least. Maybe in some cases I might have done something that I'm unaware of. But pretty much we're going to use Bill and Ann because they are the names I was using in linguistics. Suppose Bill wants to chat and says he wants to chat, and so I'm like, yeah, all right, Bill, I'm around this Saturday. I can do Wednesday. Sometimes I'm a very scheduley person, so sometimes I'll be like, sorry, I'm like this. This is how I function. And there are people who accept that and people who don't. But anyway, and so Bill's like, yeah, no, I'm around. Doesn't, I say I'm around Saturday, I'm around Wednesday. And Bill says, yeah, I'm around. Just, nothing more than that. And so, maybe I'll be like, now, I need to just follow up on this disclaimer. In the off chance you're someone I know, don't worry about this. I'm not trying to, I'll talk about how I think I do this in a couple minutes, but I just want to be clear that I'm not, calling out a specific friend or something. And I don't hold this against anybody. People have lives, they're busy, whatever. I'm just saying this in the most clear context that I can. And I'm making this up as I go. Because again, it's happened with multiple people. So Bill's like, I'm around. So I'm like, all right, how about Saturday at, 1 p.m. or something. And Bill's like, yeah, sure. And, maybe Bill forgets, or maybe Bill says, oh, actually, I'm not, I'm around any time. And then I say, oh, how about Saturday? And then Bill says, no, actually, I'm not around Saturday. And so it takes a lot of effort to try and plan something. And, you don't need a specific, 12:37 on the dot, right? You don't need a specific time. All you need, in my opinion, is, afternoon next Wednesday or something like that. Let's call. On one end, you can have, I could send someone my Calendly link and they could pick a time that works for them just right off the bat, which I think is something super easy. But if it's more casual, because, not everyone's schedule is like I do, then, the noon thing works, right? But if you don't at least have something of a time frame, it's not going to work. Because, Bill says, yeah, Saturday works. And so Saturday comes around and I message Bill in the morning and say, hey, I'm around. Bill never responds. And so I message, I'm going out for lunch, by the way. I'll be back at 2 p.m. I don't know. And then, Bill still never responds. I send another message Saturday night. Bill's MIA. And then the next day, Bill's like, oh, sorry, I was out. It's all right. This is one type of person. And I've been this person before. I didn't realize it. And I don't think many people do realize it. I'm sure some do. But I only realized it after I started thinking about other people doing it. And then there's Anne. And you say, hey, Anne, what's up? You have a small conversation. I don't know. It's like, oh, we should, call sometime or meet up for lunch sometime to catch up. And then Anne's like, sure, Wednesday afternoon. And you're like, can't do Wednesday. How about Friday? And Anne's like, yeah, sure. I'm around Friday after 2 p.m. And you're like, all right, cool. Let's meet at here, or let's call on whatever, Skype. Why was Skype the first thing that came to mind? Discord at, 3:30 or whatever time I said. And you're both like, okay, done. And it's so easy. It's literally that simple. It's literally that simple. It's not very difficult. Now, there have been instances where people are like, I'm swamped that week. Like, how about 2 weeks from now? And you're like, sure. And then you follow up the weekend after. And if they keep saying they're constantly busy or whatever, that's one thing. But in my experience, and I've been this person again, been like, I'm swamped this week, but let's do like next week. And then I follow up and we're good. And this has been on my mind for a few reasons, mostly because it's, one of those things that makes me look at myself again. But also because in general, I think, because I consider myself a very average person, right? So if I have some certain response to something, or if someone has a response to something, I imagine that I put myself in their shoes and do the same thing. I wouldn't really realize what I'm doing. So I imagine someone else doesn't really realize what they're doing, right? I don't know if that makes much sense. Doesn't make any sense at all, does it? Anyway, we'll move on. So it's the difference here is that some people will make plans for a particular day because they let me put this in a more concise way. How I think of it is that both of these types of people, the Bills and the Anns of the world of your friends or whatever, both of them want to talk. But Bill wants to talk someday, and Anne wants to talk tomorrow. The difference here is that someday will always happen. Oh, I can't do this week, maybe next week. Oh, sorry, yeah, no, this week's also super busy. Over and over and over again. Some people want to just talk someday. They love the idea of, catching up. Oh, we should catch up sometime. Oh, I'd love to talk more frequently. But then there are other people who actually act on this. And I think it's, it's 50% the person. Whoops. and 50% the person they're talking to. I might consider someone more of a friend than they consider me, right? So I might, it's kind of, I don't like putting it in this objective way, but I think it's easy to explain. I would consider someone to have more like friend points for me, like they are more toward a best friend or something, than I am a best friend to them. You could say like they mean more to me than I to them, but that just sounds horrible, so I'm not going to put it that way. But if you really objectify that, then you should, you know, get what I mean, sort of. So there's this, right? Man, this flips in 1,000 meters is tough. So there's, yeah, anyway. So there's that thing where people, you know, genuinely want to, you know, call or catch up or whatever, but then it's impossible to schedule something or to put aside a time. It is impossible. And those relationships never really change. And I think for me, it depends also on like a time factor. I don't know, because I know that there are times when to certain people I've been like, I'm kind of busy, and then I'll like forget. But that has nothing to do with, you know, my friendship with them. That has everything to do with the timing of things. For example, this last week I forgot like 3 or 4 things because it was a scheduling nightmare. It was a mess. I had to postpone a few things as well. It was a mess. And I've also had people who are at sometimes like very easy to, Saturday, let's do it. Who go to, oh, you know, you can't have too much back and forth. But anyway, I think it's important if we can identify these people in our lives, because this situation happened, right, with someone. And again, this is not a unique, oh, I thought I clicked the thing, unique situation to one person. This has happened many times in the past. It was simply that I brought this up in conversation, someone related their own experience, and I just was like, I'm gonna try something. So I messaged a few people that I had wanted to talk to or catch up with or whatever, and simply said like, hey, you know, I am around at this time, or, you know, this weekend works for me. Let's talk and catch up. And now, quick sidebar. There are maybe people who want to talk and catch up with me, right? Who just didn't come to mind in this situation, which is maybe bad to say. Not something I can do much about, but I just figured I'd be transparent there, because I imagine there are people who just didn't come up in my head. Damn it, that would have been so close. So back on topic. And so I messaged one person I called with, one person I'm hanging out with today, one other person I'm calling with tonight. And then there are some super rare special people who you can be like, yo, I'm around in 5 minutes, call, and then they'll be like, yeah, bet. For me, that just boils down to how much do I have to think when I talk to this person. But that's a sidebar on its own. You know, how much energy does it take? But so yeah, back on topic here. I'm trying to stay on topic because this idea is something I'm probably gonna keep thinking about. But anyway, like 4 or 5 people. And 3 of them very easy to plan with. One of them was probably my fault, honestly, or at least I might have to follow up with. And then another one was, you know, kind of a dead end. I was like, oh yeah, we should catch up sometime. Yeah, sure, I'm around. And I don't know. I didn't really take it anywhere, but it's such a stark contrast, at least with the specific situation that brought this all to mind in the first place, where you try to set something up for like 2 weeks, and then you just have like 3 messages sent in the same day at different times, like, yo, I'm still around, versus people who will, I guess, make that commitment to just chat and hang out. And it's not a very big deal, I guess. It's just something I think it's good to be mindful about, I guess. Can I backflip here? Yes. Oh, no. That's unfortunate. It's a loop-de-loop. 15 minutes, eh? So, anyway, so I did this. It wasn't really an experiment. I guess it was an experiment because I was mindful of it. And this was the one thing that made me say, let me reach out to these people. Because I'd already wanted to. It was just, you know, I didn't think about it at first. And I'm just really appreciative of the people who were like, yeah, let's do it. Because, I don't know, we can place value into people so easily. And the same value might not be placed back, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. I think it's good to recognize these things. You know, not all relationships are made equal. You know, relationships in the general sense. And that's fine. I think that's, you know, a part of being a social creature, I guess. Your relationship with one person will not, I don't know. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, anyway, so I have this rule. I have many rules, but I have one rule that is, and this came about because of a very similar situation like 3 or 4 years ago. I was trying to coordinate talking to someone, but I felt like I was being annoying. Of being like, hey, when are you around? Oh, you know, you said 2 weeks ago you'd be around next month, so I just want to reach out again. And so I made this rule that pretty much says, you know, if you really want something, if you really need to try for something, give it 3 shots. Message someone, say, hey, let's catch up. And if, you know, these aforementioned people that had, I don't want to say pass my test because that's not fair. But the people who I had talked with and am meeting up with, or catching up with, or whatever, this took no more than 1 try. So then the second try, you say, hey, like, I know, you know, I wanted to catch up. You said you were busy, but you said maybe this weekend, so I just want to follow up. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday, assuming tomorrow in this case would be a Saturday. And then they're like, yeah, you know, whatever. They give a vague answer. And then you try a 3rd time. And if it's something you really, really want to happen, you try a 4th time. And this is simply because I like the number 4. But if you really want something to happen, you try 4 times. This is, and then after that, you accept it and you give up. I really like this rule because it kind of says, okay, I've done everything in my power. This is no longer on me. Because there's always that idea that someone might be like, oh my God, you know, what if they just are actually busy or whatever? If they're busy and they do want to hang out with you, they will follow up. That's just, I don't know if that's true. That's just what I choose to believe at this point. I simply don't think it's worth the effort to try more than 4 times. More than 3, really. 4 if you're, you know, if it's something you really want. And this situation I mentioned earlier, I tried 6 times. And I was like, wow, I really went overboard. And, you know, I was having a conversation about this with someone. And they were like, yeah, you know, I had a similar thing. And I'm sure everyone has people like this, right? Again, nothing against anyone. Just want to be very clear about that. As this is not like, I hate this person because they've done this. No, people have lives. And I am viewed in a different light than I view other people. It's very simple. It's not inherently a bad thing. There are just 2 different types of people in everyone's life, really. And that's all it comes down to. The people who want to catch up someday and the people who want to catch up tomorrow. And I think it's very important to identify these people in our lives. Because if we need to know who to rely on, or we need to know someone who we can talk to about things, which is actually a weird thought, because these people that I would call a someday person, I suppose, would be people, you know, some of them I trust the most. But it's just tough if you can't be like, hey, let's catch up sometime, and they're like, yeah, let's do that. I don't know. It says a lot about society. But yeah, so that's been on my mind a lot recently. As always, I am curious if people can relate, or if this is genuinely just like some random idea that really isn't applicable that much. But it's definitely, I don't know. I think it's definitely something worth thinking about. It's worth being cognizant about. Because I know I've done it. And I know that, you know, consciously it's like, I don't know. For me, I think at least, for me, most of the time, it's not like I don't imagine anyone's like, I don't want to hang out with this person. It's just for some people, it just requires me to be more extroverted. And for example, this past week, I just don't have that in me. Just don't have that energy in me. And I just don't give a specific time. I'm sure some people do it to let people down easy or whatever, which personally I hate because that would plague my mind. But yeah, so I think I'm going to end that here because that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. There are people in our lives who say someday, and some people who say tomorrow. And, you know, just as important as knowing who those people are, it's important knowing which one we are for which people. Because not all relationships are made equal. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear it. Hopefully I elaborated enough in both situations. Again, if you're a friend of mine watching this or listening, like, I just can't emphasize enough, because these VGTs have caused trouble in the past. Like, neither the Bill nor Ann is a bad thing. It's simply, you know, if I ask you to hang out 3 times and then I just stop trying, that's not a bad thing. I harbor no ill feeling, right? It's just that's when I'm like, okay, I've done what I can. And you know, it's just a simple rule. And if someone calls me out on it, I do not fear the confrontation. But yeah, if you disagree, I'd also like to hear that. I know there are always exceptions to every rule. You know, try 3 times and wait 2 months before you try 3 more times. Bend these rules as you see them fit. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and or listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, see you next week. Have a good one. And as always, don't forget to stay awesome.